If you're a person who likes adventure and loves running into the unexpected, then join us and become the surprise traveler. See beautiful landscapes, wildlife revealing their secrets, fascinating architecture, we know you, as our fellow travelers, will cherish the journey.
Hey, 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 hey,
Amazing people and cultures that we cannot resist,
hey,
stories that captivate us, and share a laugh with us at the funny happenstances we stumble upon. Wonderful, spellbinding surprises await us as we take adventures around the globe. Every continent and country has its own treasures to be explored. Hello, my name is Doug Chrisman, and it's my pleasure as your host to welcome you back for another episode of The Surprise Traveler. France is part of Western Europe, situated just south of Great Britain, northwest of Spain, and adjacent to Belgium and Luxembourg on its northwest corner. Germany and Switzerland are directly east, and southeast is a corner of Italy. Directly below France is the Mediterranean Sea. In our last episode, part 1 of France, we shared some secrets of Paris, a beautiful and romantic city in the north-central part of the country. In this episode, part 2, we're going to southern France, starting in the Provence Alps Côte d'Azur region, beginning in Nice, where we're consumed by the atmosphere of the French Riviera. After a few days here, we head to the ancient Roman town of Avignon on the Rhone River. With Avignon as our base, we take an excursion along the southeastern edge of the Occitanie region to visit the Camargue, an untamed wetlands where we have lunch and visit a ranch that raises championship bulls before we move on up the river to explore different Rhone Valley cities and sites within the Rhone Alps region. We end our journey in Lyon, where we complete our explorations of southern France. Did you know there are dozens of perched villages in southern France? These towns were built on the highest point of land to provide protection for their citizens. Usually, you'll find a church placed at the highest point. Did you know there's an unusual underground cave in southern France with paintings in it that are estimated to be over 27,000 years old? There is. The Cascade Cave in Marseille cannot be reached without going underwater before then coming up into the half-submerged cave to observe these magnificent artifacts of history. Did you know, in Arles, you will find a former cathedral, the Church of Saint-Trophime, one of the finest examples of Romanesque architecture in France. But even more impressive is that if you go to the entrance on the southeast of the church facade, you can enter the cloister, where you will be treated to beautiful Roman sculptures of biblical scenes and other well-preserved Roman statues. You know, we usually talk about wonderful surprises, and this episode is no exception. However, our first day in this adventure, we actually started off with what became a rather irritating surprise. When we arrived in Nice, we're excited to see an Ironman competition in progress on the beach right next to our hotel. There are hundreds of people having a good time rooting their favorite runners in the final leg of the competition to the finish line. The DJ is playing music and the fans are enjoying a great party. That was in the early afternoon. But as the day wore on and the runners started crossing the finish line until 10 p.m. that night, with the DJ acknowledging each one of them over the loudspeaker, well, shall you say we had heard enough for a lifetime. But that was a minor annoyance, because as soon as we arrive in Nice, you know that this is not a typical seaside resort. Nice is located on the Côte d'Azur and is one of several well-recognized cities along this coastline, commonly referred to as the French Riviera. Without a doubt, this is the playground of the uber-rich, elite, and famous from around the world. This area's initial attraction is the charming landscape access to the Mediterranean Sea with warm temperatures and cool breezes combined with seclusion and privacy. Americans started to discover the area shortly after World War I, but the Hollywood celebrities did not start paying attention to the French Riviera until the Cannes Film Festival began right after World War II. By the mid-1950s, celebrities were flocking to Cannes, Saint-Tropez, and other cities along the Côte d'Azur. In our stop at Antibes, we explore part of this charming town and enjoy the artistic contributions from a local musician. In Cannes, we see the facade of the building where the Cannes Film Festival is held annually each May. As we climb our way up a hill, we get to the top of a popular scenic observation destination and are stunned by the full impact of the view that we see. But just when I think that Cannes has to be the extreme experience of lavish lifestyle, I realize we've not even explored all the cities along the coast. Monaco is yet another location where world-class elites are living in luxury estates on the hillside with their yachts moored in the bay. But it also has a unique distinction of being a mini-state within France and is an independent principality with its own prince, royal family, and royal palace. These factors, coupled with stunning views, Formula One races, and the famous Monte Carlo casino, all solidify the conversion, and I've bought into the beautiful emotion and imagery of the French Riviera that is magical and bigger than life. One story that highlights this imagery for many Americans, and especially Philadelphians, is that of the American film star Grace Kelly, who transformed from a little girl growing up in Philadelphia to celebrated actress and finally becoming Princess Grace of Monaco. I personally don't think of Monaco without thinking of Princess Grace. So when I recently met an aspiring young actress, Kristen Spangler, who lives in Philadelphia, and found out that she had visited Monaco, I had to ask, did you see the memorial for Princess Grace when you visited Monaco? It didn't surprise me that the story of Princess Grace did not have any special meaning to Kristen. After all, she had not even been born until well after Princess Grace's death. But as Kristen and I discussed her own background and ambitions and the story of Princess Grace, Kristen became more curious. So now let me introduce you to Kristen Spangler and let her share with us what she discovered.
We are at Grace Kelly's childhood home in East Falls, Philadelphia, and this is not too far from where I live in Chestnut Hill. So I wanted to find out more about Grace Kelly. I actually visited Monaco when I was in high school on a band trip, but I didn't really know much about her then. So I wanted to find out more about her and discover if we have any similarities, because I'm an actress living in Philly. She was an actress living in Philly, but then she turned into a princess. So I really would like to find out if her life is in any way similar to mine, and if she had this magical fairy tale life that I think she probably had, but we're gonna find out. She grew up in an Irish Catholic family with 3 siblings, a strict mother, and a father who she always seeked to please. She was very shy and actually the only one in her family who wasn't athletic. Her father always thought that Peggy, her older sister, would be the success in the family. And it's no wonder that she just set out to prove people wrong in her life. She moved to New York City to become a very, very successful actress. And I actually did a very similar thing. After graduating college, I studied theater, and I had a dream of moving to New York City. So I found out that she also performed right here at the same theater that I was going to perform in. This is Old Academy Players. I was actually going to perform in Company, the musical, before COVID changed things. So she met the prince on an invitation to visit the palace where she was filming the movie in Cannes. I don't believe it was love at first sight, but I think there had to be some sort of spark, or else history wouldn't have happened. Spotto described Grace writing a formal note to Prince Rainier upon her return to America. And she thanked him for welcoming her, and at the same time, Prince Rainier wrote a letter to Grace with a note of thanks for interrupting her personal busy schedule to visit him. So they continued to correspond, and they found out more about each other over the course of 7 months. And they found out that they actually had a lot in common. So he visited the United States, and that's when he asked her to marry him. Now, this all seems very romantic and fairy tale-like to me, but this life was not always easy for Grace. Imagine moving to a foreign country and not being fluent in the language and leaving behind everything you know to become an entirely different person. And I can definitely relate to this because being an actress, you kind of have to put a lot of things on hold to develop your acting career. It really doesn't leave much time or room to devote to raising children. So I understand the struggle of being torn and wanting that normalcy and a family, and knowing that might not be possible unless you give up something you love or put it on hold. So for Grace, she definitely put her family first and found ways to become involved with the arts by serving her passion, and she helped transform Monaco into this major center for opera, ballet, concerts, and plays. Unfortunately, just before Princess Grace passed away, she was starting to make plans to act again, but then her life tragically ended in a car accident due to a hemorrhage in her heart. So, in conclusion, Grace's life was quite different than I had originally thought. I imagined her having this endlessly happy personality, living this magical fairy tale life, being a movie star and a princess. Two things that I thought I would love to be, but these things don't come without sacrifice. She had to give up having a private life and her career as an actress for many years. She had to become this entirely different person in basically a country that she had no idea about. And she made changes and, discovered things about herself while she was there. She just had so much persistence and so much bravery. And she never gave up on what she wanted was ultimately this family. And she still was involved with the arts, and she was going to get back into acting. I would love to go back to Monaco and find out more about her there and walk in her shoes, walk her footsteps. So thanks for joining me on this spectacular journey of learning about Princess Grace Kelly of Monaco.
Thank you, Kristen.
Bathing in the Mediterranean, visiting casinos, and observing rich, luxurious settings is a prime activity while in the French Riviera. But we have a lot more to share than this small slice of southern France.
We start by visiting a few beautiful, well-preserved medieval communes. The first commune we visit, Vaugué, is a small village built along the Ardèche River. This medieval village is an interesting site to visit for those who admire a city that's retained its architectural integrity. The entire village is built on a limestone cliff and features stone steps up and down the hillside, narrow alleys, and arches made of stone. It's considered one of the most beautiful villages in France, but it's only one example of the charm of this countryside. The next city is the walled city of Aigues-Mortes, where we take a stroll within the old city walls and visit the Tower of Constance that was turned into a Protestant prison starting around 1685 and eventually into a Protestant women's prison. We ended our medieval excursion with a visit about 1 hour out of Lyon at the delightful medieval 12th century village of Camargue. It was very impressive and didn't surprise us that a movie like The Three Musketeers was actually filmed there. After a few days of fun in this part of France, we head to the Rhone Valley to visit the lavender fields, country villages, and ancient ruins. We not only see some beautiful lavender fields, but also a lavender museum, and at another location, an operating lavender distillery. And I would be remiss if I didn't quickly show you some beautiful spots we liked. We toured a beautiful little city called Tournon-sur-Rhône and another by the name of Vienne. We also took a trip into the beautiful Ardèche River area and enjoyed a drive along the Ardèche River and a steam train ride up the Rhone Valley.
We finish our Rhone River adventure exploring the lovely city of Lyon, which in one guidebook I read is the dividing line between the French upper and lower Rhone valleys. We had a great time in Lyon and are now going to invite our guests into the spotlight to tell us firsthand about some of the little-known secrets of Lyon.
We have Christelle and Ben, who hail from the beautiful city of Lyon, which is situated on the Rhone River, separating the upper and lower Rhone valleys. Ben and Christelle, welcome to The Surprise Traveler. It's a pleasure to have you sharing with us some of the great experiences that our viewers could have that would be unexpected when they get the opportunity to visit Lyon. Would you mind just introducing yourselves, tell us a little bit about you, and share some stories with us?
Yes, so my name is Christelle. So I'm French. I come from Lyon, especially from Lyon, where with my husband, Ben, we lived there for almost 10 years.
Wow.
So my company in France moved me here to Philadelphia. So now we are very happy to live here. But we have very good memories from Lyon because it was so nice to live there.
We really enjoy to be here, and we are happy to share this with you.
Great to have you with us. So why don't we get started and just tell us a little bit about Lyon and carry us away into France.
I think it's a very nice city. First of all, because it's located in a great place. So that's in the southeast part of France. In France, there are some high-speed trains. So in 2 hours, you can reach Paris. In less than 1 hour and a half, you can reach the Mediterranean Sea. And also it's very close to the Alps. So even during summertime and wintertime, it's great to go around and also visit the surroundings, the countryside and the mountains to go skiing or hiking. Lyon, actually, it's a pretty small city because there are only 500,000 inhabitants. But it's the second one with the urban area because there are more than 2 million people, inhabitants with all the area. So it's like a small city, but with a very dynamic place and lots of things to do. As you know, Lyon is actually quite an old city. It's more than 2,000 years ago that it was created. Maybe you've heard, I'm sure you've heard about Julius Caesar. So one of its lieutenants founded Lyon. At that time, it was called Lugdunum, different name than today, and it was the capital of the Gaul. Also, at that time, France did not exist. It was the Gaul who was part of the Roman Empire. And by reading different things about Lyon, I found that it was founded exactly on October the 3rd. 43 before Christ. So that's why it has a very interesting history. That's why also the UNESCO listed it at the World Heritage because, and you will see through this walk, we propose you to do with it, to do with us. You will see that it's a mixture between past and present. One picture, you have in the foreground some very modern skyscrapers. One of the skyscrapers is called the Rubber Tower by people living in Lyon. Another skyscraper, also pretty recent, built in 1977, is called the Pencil Tower. And also on this picture, you will see in the foreground, there is a tower built during the Renaissance, so in the 15th century. So you can see that it's really a mixture there. There's more than 5 centuries between the background and the foreground. So it's an example that Lyon is really a mixture of past and present.
To let you know, discover Lyon, we will get you with us through a walk we like to do. The walk, to start the walk, we have to climb up to the Basilica of Fourvière. We will use a funicular, and after we can start the walk.
So as you can see, this basilica is pretty nice because, well, it was built around 1880. And actually, it was to acknowledge the end of a pandemic, which happened at that time. When you are around this basilica, you have a very nice view on Lyon, especially during the day. You see all the city, and especially also you can see the Alps, so you can see the mountains. And people living in Lyon say that if you are able to see the top of the mountains, it means that the next day it's going to rain. During the night, it's also very nice because everything is, with lights, and that's also a very nice view on the city to have. And then walking distance, just 5 minutes from here, you walk to the theaters, so the Roman theaters. We also really like to walk there because we feel like being in Greece.
I like to think about nowadays we have 10,000 people can look at a show in facilities that have been built before Christ, and that's, for me, it's very fascinating.
And especially because you're in the city, so it's like amazing to just walk in a city and suddenly enter an arena like that, so old.
And what we cannot see on the picture, but on the side, inside the hill, there is a museum who will explain the history of this part of the city.
And this is really quite a beautiful arena. It's great.
Yeah, and you have also a small one. So like on the right side, there's a smaller one dedicated. Well, at the time of the Roman, the small arena was dedicated to music, and this one to like more, plays.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty big site. Yeah.
So this is the second stop on your walk.
And it's the middle of the hill.
Yes, so then we walk down the hill, and so we stop by in the old city. So the old city was built during the Middle Ages and also during the Renaissance, and that's why you have very amazing secret passageways in this part of the city. It was so mainly built for like shortcuts, so to go from one street to another. But during the World War II, it was used by the resistance to not to be seen by the authorities. There are about 500. It's called traboules. So traboules, it's a French word, but only used in Lyon because you do not find that kind of secret passageways in other cities. There are maybe 80 you can visit. It's open to public. And so, for example, you can see very nice courtyards, as you can see with this very nice tower, which also can remind you about Italy. Because it's like the same influence at that time. Also, Italian people during the Renaissance, they influence the architecture in Lyon. It's a very nice gem from the old city. So we cross a bridge on the Rhone River, and then we walk up to on the peninsula. The opera, the Lyon Opera. A very nice building, especially for me because I like ballet, and it was built around 1880 and then completely rebuilt quite recently, 1993. The facade is a neoclassical facade, and the top that's a glass dome, and that's a modern one. So here again, you can see the mixture between the past and the present. So getting in the building, and then when you climb to the top, you enter in the foyer, and as you can see, there's a very nice ceiling. And this is still an illustration that the past is still very present in this building. As you remember, there is a glass dome at the top. And so behind this glass dome, there's a very nice rehearsal hall where the dancers, so the Lyon Ballet Company, rehearse every day. So from the opera, it's just maybe 20 minutes walking distance, and you enter the park. This place in the park, so it's the African Plain. So in the park, you have a zoo. The zoo is pretty popular because it's a free zoo. So people like to go watching the animals. They have a very nice botanical garden. And here that's an example with the Alpine garden. They have also a very big rose garden. One of the biggest apparently in the world. There's also a very big lake. It's a pretty big park. If we compare, it's like a third of a Central Park in New York City. For people living in Lyon, it's a very nice area to go, and it's like the countryside in the city.
If you take this walk, about how long will it take you in total, do you think?
Maybe 3.
Yes, maybe 3 hours. Depend of how many stops you make to drink or eat.
Yeah, no, it's great. So I've got a whole new list of things to see the next time I go to Lyon. I want to thank you very much for joining us. It was just delightful to have you with us and share these stories with us and share your walk.
Yeah, and thank you too.
I could really spend more time in France. It's a hard place to leave. But it's that time again to talk about our upcoming episode. And in this case, that means we're leaving France and traveling northeast. Which European country has a notorious past, known for its disciplined culture, noted engineering accomplishments, and highly industrious population that continues to have a major impact on the world's economy to this day? You guessed it. In our next episode, we're exploring Germany. Here we enjoy the greatness of Berlin, the beauty of the Lake Country, as well as the somberness of a brief visit to a World War II work camp. So come along with me and let's take a ride to Germany. As we roll the credits, enjoy salivating over some of the wonderful food we enjoyed while we were in southern France. On and off the ship, it was amazing. Until I see you again, have safe travels.